And when you mentioned the coming up with the purpose of what it is that this mastermind group does, part of that plan is to make a group that's special, that's set aside. You're coming together here once a week. Is it once a week, Frank?
Yes, it does.
Once a week with a set time, and now you have a set purpose. And those are two of the really important characteristics of a mastermind. And I would encourage you to really take some time and look at how that fits in with your purpose, because Frank also talked about harmony. And if there's anything that destroys a group quickly, it's lack of harmony. And it only takes one person who's not pulling their weight, one person who disagrees with the group, one person who's looking for trouble. That one person can drag people down. And that's not the purpose. The purpose is to help others. The purpose is to grow and expand and become a more perfect version of yourself. That doesn't happen when you have somebody who's negative. It can't happen. They Negativity and positivity cannot dwell in the same place at the same time. This is a sacred group, and by sacred, I don't mean religious. I mean the true meaning of sacred, which means set apart. It's not for everybody. There are about 350 million people in the US right now. Half of those are men. That's about 175 million men. And here in this group, we have less than 20. This is a special group. This is set aside. It's not for everybody. It's for people that have a common purpose, and part of that common purpose is discipline. What do you do in the morning when you get up? First thing when you get up. What do you do before you get out of bed? Is there what's your mindset when you wake up in the morning? Deepak Chopra, who's a world-renowned personal development teacher, says when he wakes up in the morning, he asks himself four questions. The first question is, who am I? That means, what's my purpose? What am I? Who am I? For me, I'm Dan Matthews, but that's just my name. I say to myself, I'm a soul on a journey. Who am I? The second question is, why am I here? I'm here to grow and help others grow. Why am I here? The third question is, what do I really love? What have you spiritually, for your own personal growth, what have you fallen in love with? Remember that time when you first fell in love. That's all you could think about was that other person. What have you fallen in love with lately in your own life, in your own journey? What do you really love? Because if you're following what you really love, you're on the right path. If you're following what you really love, you're on the right path. The fourth question he asks himself is, what am I grateful for? Most of you probably write down a little bit of a gratitude statement in the morning, or if you don't, I would really recommend that you do as part of your morning ritual. What am I really grateful for? It doesn't have to be a list of 10 things like Bob used to say, but focus on gratitude, because gratitude is a powerful moving force. And then how do you finish your day? I heard a comic say, men just get ready for bed. What's this getting ready for bed that women do that takes them an hour to get ready for bed? You take off your clothes, you get into bed. That's getting ready for bed. But that's just a joke, but there are ways that you can get ready for not just ready for bed, but ready for that night of being dreaming, of sleeping, of resting, of rejuvenating your body and being ready for the next day. And I like to do this and I just call it my evening wrap up. I ask myself for four little statements. The first one is, what went well today? And I abbreviated WWW. What went well? It doesn't have to be much. It could be one word that brings to mind something that really went well during the day. And it could be something simple. The dog really was happy to see me when I got home. The cup of coffee I had in the morning was great. I accomplished a goal. I called my sister, who I haven't talked to, and I needed to reconnect with her. What went well? The second question you ask yourself is, what needed work? We're looking at improving ourselves, at growing, at expanding. What needed work? And it doesn't have to be a big beat yourself up time, but maybe you lost your temper. What needed work when you lost your temper? What needed work was compassion or understanding. It wasn't, don't focus on the negative. I got angry. What needed work was understanding, clarity, self-control. The third thing I is a statement I make to myself, and it starts with the words, I awaken. How are you going to wake up in the morning? Mad because you were angry the day before? Frantic because you overslept? I awaken. I'm going to awaken grateful, or I'm going to awaken focused, or some other word, a positive word that you're telling yourself how to focus your attention when you're sleeping, getting ready for the morning. I awaken. And the last thing before I go to sleep is just the letter Q, a question. What's a question I have in my life? What's a question I want to ask infinite intelligence, conscious awareness? What do I want to ask God? What do I need in terms of guidance? And your mind will start working on that question and work on it all night. Your subconscious mind will take that as a clue. That's where I'm going to focus my attention tonight. While you're sleeping, I'm going to be looking for an answer to that question. What's my next step? I would encourage you to put those things into your life. They're very simple. They hardly take any time, but they'll make changes over time. They'll make changes in your life and in your direction of your journey. So what are we talking about today? What's faith? Frank read a little bit about faith from is it the science of getting rich? Science of
The
setting,
science of personal achievement, Dan.
science of personal achievement. There are a lot of science books. Science of personal achievement. And faith is one of those words that's been used so much by so many different people for so many reasons that it really has lost its true meaning. When it was referred to 2,000 years ago, Jesus said, you must have faith and believe. Faith is not the same as belief. Somehow they're different, but they're like thought. How do you define thought? Or how do you define time? Or how do you define distance? How do you define those things that are are fundamental in your life and in the lives of everyone and for the functioning of the universe? What is faith? Well, I know what it's not. It has nothing to do with religion. I tell people sometimes, don't let your spiritual self, don't let your, don't let your religion get in the way of your spiritual growth. Don't let your religion get in the way of your spiritual growth. A religion is a set of rules and regulations. Some of you have been through the religious experience or religious teachings, and I'm not saying they're bad, but they have lost track in a lot of cases of the importance of spiritual development, developing yourself personally. It's not dogma. It's not rules and regulations. It's not thinking we the we the sinners, we who are wrong, who are helpless and weak. That's not religion. That's something different. Faith is some kind of a spiritual factor. It's something that we have in common with the heart and mind of God, with the mind of creative imagination that created everything in the universe, including you and me, including the stars and galaxies, including atoms and molecules. Creative imagination is the power that has created everything in the universe. And we share some of that power. And one of those spiritual faculties, there are several, one of those spiritual faculties is faith. Faith to me, if you say you must have faith and believe, faith means to me the words, I am able. I am able, not because of something proud within yourself. I am able, the sentence goes on a little bit and it says, I am able because I am a child of infinite intelligence. I share some of the energy of the power that created all things. It's living in me right now. It's what some people call my soul. It's that core self within you, that that consciousness within you that has never changed since the day you were created, since you were conceived in the womb. That that power within you, that thoughtful, conscious awareness has never changed. And if you were to take it down to one word, to one sentence, that awareness is I am able. You're not able because of your strength. You're able because you share the power that created the universe. It lives within you. The kingdom of heaven is within you. It was said so many different ways to try to get people to understand it that you can find hundreds of references to this in every religious text. And I've read many of those. I am able because I am a child of infinite intelligence. So what about the belief part? You must have faith and believe. Believing means It's already been given to you. Whatever your goal is, whatever your journey, whatever your purpose is in life, the goal of your journey, the thing you really, really love, that you want to make part of you, the future you that's rich, that's successful, that's prosperous, that has the love of your life, and you're living in the place that you've always wanted to live in. Everything is perfect. Jesus said, if you have faith and believe that it's already been given to you, it will be given to you. Faith just means I am able because I'm a child of the power that created all things. There was a story in the New Testament of the Christian Bible that talked about a man who was a soldier. He was a Roman soldier called a centurion. A centurion meant that he had 100 people under him. He was not a Christian. He was part of the army that was the polar opposite of what Jesus represented. But he had a servant that was sick and almost dead, miles away. That centurion found Jesus talking to people, and he explained that he had a servant that was really sick, and if you will say something, you can heal him. I know you can. And Jesus said, you're a centurion. What are you doing even talking to me? And he said, I know what it's like to be, as he called it, under authority. He said, I'm a man that's under authority. I have soldiers that I order, that I'm responsible for. And if I tell them to do something, they do it. They don't ask. I know that you're the same kind of person in a spiritual way. And Jesus turned to the people that were around him and said, I've never seen faith like this anywhere in Israel. And he said, I'll come to you and heal your servant. And he said, you don't have to come. All you have to do is say the word. You're the person of authority. And he said, your servant is healed. And the centurion left and went back to his home and asked when, and the servant was healed. He said, when did it happen? They told him, and it was at the moment that Jesus said that. The Apostle Paul, who didn't know Jesus personally, but was one of the leading figures in the early Christian church, wrote a letter, and in that letter he says, show me your faith without your works, and I'll show you my faith by my works. Show me your faith without your works. So what is this thing, faith? And how is it that we can have applied faith? What do we need to apply? There are some things that have to happen. We know that we're all children of the power of God. We're all children of creative imagination. We're all children of source energy. We all have that opening, that window within us, that door within us that we can open and have access to the power of the universe. What is it that happens? Faith is one of the fundamental principles of success. One of the fundamental things you have to have in order to accomplish anything. Ask in faith, it was said. Ask in faith, nothing wavering. Walk by faith, not by sight. Whatever you ask in prayer will be given to you if you believe that you've received it. Believe that you've received it, and it shall be yours. So what do we have to add to faith? Well, there's some things in order to make it applied faith, there are some things you have to do. You have to have a burning desire. You have to first of all get an idea, something that attracts you, and you have to fall in love with it. Make it a burning desire, an obsession. Focus your attention on it. Focusing your attention on it means focusing your thoughts. That's sometimes called prayer. Some people think prayer is something you get down on your knees and you tell the universe how unworthy you are. That's not praying. Praying is talking to God about the things, about guiding you along your path. We're talking to a force, to an energy source, which is neutral. It doesn't judge you. It doesn't beat you up. Don't beat yourself up. Forgive yourself. Focus your attention. Be disciplined about it. Spend time, whether you call it prayer or meditation or whatever it is that you call focusing your attention on the power that created you, believing that it's already yours, whatever you've asked for. And then you need to expect it. Don't just ask for it and then walk away and go, oh, I guess I'm not going to have it today. I was out watering the flowers a few weeks ago, and all of a sudden the water flow stopped. And I could have said, well, might as well go back to the house. There's no more water. Well, that's not what you do when you're watering plants. You don't say no more water for me. I hope my water comes back on because I'm going to be thirsty pretty soon. No, I looked back and found a kink in the hose. Sometimes it's as simple as that. Look for the kink in the hose. Be aware and don't beat yourself up. Expect it. Embrace it. Embrace that thing that you love. Remember that it's already yours. And then become it. Become that person. If you say, I want to be a person who's successful, well, be that person. You have to be it before you can receive it. Be the person. What's that person talk like? What's that person walk like? What's that person live like? Couple your faith with creative imagination. You have both of those inside of you. People say, oh Lord, give me faith. Don't ever say that. That's like asking for courage. Courage isn't somewhere else. It's not outside of you. Faith isn't somewhere else. It's not outside of you. It's all inside of you. Come on. Couple that faith with creative imagination. Harmonize with it. Now, I know we only have an hour, and I've already spent I see it's 8:32 already on my clock. So, and this group is a group that proud to be, I'm proud to be here, you guys. This is a group that is focused. One of the goals is discipline. One of the goals is growing, expanding. Guess what? Those are all things that are part of the heart and mind and nature of God. Expansion, growing, becoming something disciplined, expecting change. I'm going to break it up here. for me, I have some notes I'm going to take off here to guide me so I don't lose my way when I'm talking. So what was I going to say?
So
But
Dan,
I want to open it up, Frank, to the group, and let's share some thoughts about faith. You
yeah, we've
can
got we've got a couple of hands up, Dan.
good.
Nick, go for it, my friend. You were up first.
Mr. Dan, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Hey, Nick, how are you? It's
I'm
good to
doing
see
very
you.
well, my friend.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to be in the room with you. You mentioned you mentioned a couple of things. If I could mention two things with you, Dan, and again, I appreciate the time that you and I have in our conversations in rooms as this. So you had mentioned earlier, speaking about faith and applying faith. Um, Dr. Joe Dispenza, he says um, that they believe that in order for us to experience change, we have to marry a clear intention.
Mhm. That's right.
And so if I have an intention and it's a goal that I'm working on daily, my intention for the day is to focus on doing the task that I need to do for the attainment of my goal. But my intention is to arrive at a certain place. Now, you had mentioned the Bible a lot, and I appreciate that, Dan. Um, the Bible says that when a man gets married,
Hmm.
he leaves his mom and dad. He leaves everything that he's ever known growing up and goes and clings to his wife.
Hmm.
So if we want change, we have to, Joe Dispenza says we have to marry a clear intention.
Hmm.
It's this is what it is. Like there's no giving up. There's no being led by emotions. I must become more disciplined. Well, I believe that by marrying, and you mentioned by loving this intention, I believe that it gives you the enthusiasm and the personal initiative for one to stay focused on the task as well as not to drift. I believe it's so super important for us to realize that because how easy it is for us for us to drift. So I want to share that with you, Dan, and if I may, um, you had said something about collapsing time or it's going to take time. So if we have a goal and we have the outcome of the goal right here, it's always going to take time to get to that goal. And what I've learned is that when we go do other stuff that doesn't have nothing to do with the goal, not only do we say, but we feel that we are further from the goal.
Hmm. You know it.
So the clear intention and the time, the discipline it takes every day showing up, I believe that's what's going to bring the change. Thanks for letting me share, Dan.
Thanks for all that great description, Nick. I really appreciate Joe Dispenza. I was at one of his week-long intensive groups right at the beginning of COVID. And I think that it probably was one of those things they have a name for those where there's a big group of people all gathered together and the flu spreads around. They called it this was in February of 2020, and they called it the Dispenza influenza. That was before it had a name, but it was pretty funny. But Joe says where attention goes, energy flows. And remember that it's intention and attention. Both of those things have to happen. Intention is saying I'm going to, but if you say I want to or I will, it doesn't put it in the present tense. It puts it out there in the future someplace. You're declaring that it's not in the future, and you're declaring that it's not part of your life because it's your intention. I'm going to be it, be it. Put your attention to it. Intention is the starting point. Attention actually starts things moving.
Love it.
And but thanks. That's a great description, Nick. Thank you very much.
I love it. Dan, we've got Rob McCaslin has his hand up. Go ahead, Rob.
Hey
Hi,
Dan, thank
Rob.
you. Hey Dan, appreciate your time. Just to go back to what you initially said, Frank, I knew you were going to be all over that, sir, and take care of that problem. Kudos to you. No, Dan, what a great conversation. One of the things in my life I wanted to share when it comes to faith, I read a book and I can't think of it right now, but the book, one of the things that stuck to me in this book was being unconditionally happy,
Hmm.
which means, wake up in the morning, choose to be happy. Do I need this thing, that person, this event to be happy? No, I choose to be happy because I'm in control. I write the code. I'm the programmer. I'm the consciousness running this body. So I choose to be happy and unconditionally happy. And that's difficult. By nature, we have self-talk that just, every time I go through an AI customer support thing, I am not happy because it just frustrates me talking to a computer. I want to talk to a human. But the where I've applied that recently is to have be be unconditionally faithful.
Hmm.
And in many ways, God, if God says, praise me and I will give you favor. Now we do our job as Christian men or whatnot to praise God and worship Him. He reserves the right to pick the time and place when to give you that blessing.
Hmm.
He may show it to you through a failure. He may show it to you through an extreme event. He reserves that right. How do you navigate that? Be unconditionally faithful. Know it's coming. Know it's coming. And then adding to that, believe unconditionally. You don't
Hmm.
need a miracle. I don't need to be able to walk on water. I don't need to see it. Just believe unconditionally. And that helps in so many different areas. I have a problem with self-talk. Again, AI, customer support, traffic. The other day I was traveling and I just walked into the airport like a big jerk. Everybody was pissing me off. I don't know why. I just do not know why. Where did this come from? I didn't like the lady at teller. I didn't like TSA. I didn't like this lady taking 10 minutes to take off her jacket. Everything was getting on my nerves. So I just had to shift that inner voice, and really work on that. But that word unconditionally has helped me a lot through some of these things that we're talking about, Dan. Thank you for letting me share.
Thanks, Rob. That's a great story. Story in the airport. I would say go to decaf, dude.
I don't even drink coffee. Something was internally wrong that day.
The other thing can be if you've ever you need to really watch medications because steroids are really helpful for healing, dexamethasone and prednisone and stuff like that. But those things will make you just as irritated as you've ever been before. I talked to a guy who was always a nice guy. One day he came in and he was just angry. I said, "How was your drive today?" Because I knew he'd driven a ways. He said, "I was mad at everything. I was mad at the sunshine. I was mad at the flowers. I was mad at every." I said, "Are you taking dexamethasone?" Because I knew he was, and I said, "That's one of the side effects, is irritation." But unconditional gratitude, unconditional gratitude, is the same way I would think of it. Unconditional happiness, unconditional gratitude. Sometimes it's really difficult to find something to be grateful for in a situation where it's like talking to AI for phone help or for computer help. But remember that unconditional gratitude will give you will give you that same feeling, unconditional happiness. You don't have to have some reason to be happy. The reasons are always there. Rob, I appreciate that. That's a great story. And it's really a good description of how we need to not let what's outside of us control what's inside of us, because the power within us is greater than any power outside of us.
Gold nuggets, Dan. Gold nuggets. I love it.
Be grateful. Be grateful.
I love it. Phil Conway has his hand up. Go ahead, Phil.
Hi, Phil. How are you, my friend?
Life is awesome, so am I. Thank you, Dan. And how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thanks, Phil.
Great. And I really love this conversation here too, how, faith, as Napoleon Hill writes, is you're the head chemist of the mind. So we're tapping into this energy of who we are at our very essence, and it being the reminding us that's the inside game, as we just said before, talking about, are we focused inside of us or are we focused outside of us? Because I think what it appears is that we have, every time we're about to make those leaps, we're going to get a crisis in confidence. We're going to attract all the opposition because in our own mind, what are we questioning? And as we start to make some huge steps, there's going to be challenges that we're going to attract. And the question is, and I think I saw in the comments earlier, something about, I don't like fake it till you make it. I don't like that saying either. When you can act as if you're
Yeah.
nurturing the faith within you, it's almost like the invisible forces, our faith and fear, whichever one that we're going to allow is going to nurture us. And the applied faith is taking in action. I have the ability. I am the ability. I love how you talked about that. And I'm just curious too, for myself to be nurturing the faith. What kind of practices, anybody in the room here, are we doing to up level faith? I mean, here we are here. We've got infinite levels of faith that we haven't even bothered to try to grow to that point. And I'm curious, what are people using to grow faith within themselves so we can be in action, separate from the chaos that's outside, separate from the challenges that people are going to say, what do I believe in? The opposite, or do I believe in what I'm doing? Is everything fake and phony, or is this really true? That kind of thing.
Yeah, that's great, Phil. Those are really great, and I would also like to hear people's experience or what they do to apply it. Uh, that whole idea of faith being something that is inside and not affected by things outside is really important. And we look at ourselves and see that we've let our decisions be governed by things like fear or doubt or unworthiness or things that always hold you back. If we're letting those thoughts control us, then we need to just sit down, look at it, face the music, and take control ourselves. We're the boss. We're the leader of the orchestra.
I understand. I love that, Dan. In my reading this morning, just to add to that, Napoleon talks about there are two types of problems that we have: those that we can do nothing about, and those that we can do something about. And for the ones that we can do nothing about, cast them aside. Don't waste your energy and your time. You can't do anything about that. Then take purposeful action toward the problems that you have that you can do something about. So uh, I talk oftentimes with some of my clients, in real estate, and I ask people, what do buyers do? Well, they buy. So if you're running around town with people who aren't taking action, well, you're not dealing with buyers, you're dealing with shoppers. And I bring that into myself. You know, what do leaders do? They lead. What do speakers do? They speak. So if you hold a title, what do coaches do? They coach. If you claim a title, be it, and you be it by doing it. So I just wanted to share that. We got a couple other hands up here as well. Victor, brand new to the room today. Thank you for raising your hand, Victor. Come on in.
Thank you so much. Then I was just blow up, with the way that you were taking, your explanation about faith, the journey. It was so amazing. The pace that you were giving, I was just flowing, and my book is full of notice, and I really love the way that you bring it up with the faith. I am able because um because of child of infinite intelligence, and that is something that I really over 100%, affirm, because when I watch my experiences back for over 3 decades, if I wasn't able, I don't know how to explain it, but I was living with faith, because for me it was like faith is a foundation of life. So anything that I was having like idea and kind of seeing happening and be with it, working on it. And with the time, I learned that that is what we call faith. So the way that you wrap it out with the journey, it was so like story about faith. And for me here, and I'm trying also because I learned to play with the words, and I just want to ask you, how can we define the faith, FAITH. I wrote down focus, attention, and focus, attention, intentionally, trust, humanity. But I wasn't sure about the right, steps. So I would like definitely, if you can, to bring the different words so that when we share this message to anyone, they just get the point. So I could not, but I can see, but I'm missing how to bring it with, with the definition with the words together, because I wrote down focus, attention, intentionally trusting humanity, but I wasn't sure about, how he would look like. If you can help me about that, maybe.
Well, Victor, thanks for raising your hand and joining in. Uh, that is a really great little acronym that you've put together there. And I wouldn't change it at all. I think that you've chosen some really good words to describe the way that faith can be applied. And the humanity part at the end, I think you had some question about whether that fits in or not, but all of the things we do in our purpose spiritually, our purpose in life, has to be related to helping others.
Hmm.
And helping others, the word humanity just is the word that would talk about others, how you can apply it to yourself and how you can apply it to helping others. Great job.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, love it. Love it. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Dan. And Paul Kelly, go ahead, my friend.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Dan, for joining us as well.
Thanks,
Delighted
Paul.
to be on. Just a wee question I had from the chapter on applied faith, and it was the seventh verse. Just there are times when you will have to make decisions as a result of your consciousness that will be very unprofitable to you. Go ahead and make them without any hesitation. What way do you break that down?
To go ahead and make the decision anyway, regardless of what this next step's going to be. Is that the question?
Yes, it's just like
Okay.
following your intuition, isn't it?
I think that's a great question, Paul, because we often filter our desires or our intentions based on what we think the challenges are going to be.
Yes.
You can't
Right.
you can't make your decision be conditional on your fear of the outcome or the fear of the challenge that's going to await you if you make that decision. What you need to do is set your attention on having achieved the goal. The next step and the step after that, you may not have the slightest idea where it's supposed to go, but you've opened your heart to the inflow of the divine, of infinite intelligence that does know where the steps are going because it knows all steps. It knows every step that you're going to take, that you have taken, every step that anybody's taken. All thoughts, all actions have energy, and all that energy has always been here. Infinite intelligence knows every possible path that everybody will take or not take. We see one step and we think, based on our limited experience, we think of that if I take this step, this could be the outcome and it could be something I don't want to do. Don't worry about that.
Okay. That's perfect. Thank you, Dan. Yes, keep going.
Well,
Good job. Yeah.
thanks, Paul. I appreciate the question. It's a question that everybody has. Basing your decision to take the next step on what you think might be the problem afterwards. You don't look at the how it's going to work out. Just look at the goal and how great it'll be to achieve the goal.
Love that. Powerful words, Dan. We have two more hands up, and I'm just keeping an eye on the clock. We got about 6 minutes left. So I'm a stickler on the clock, just so you know. I honor your time and I honor Dan's time. So Leroy, go ahead with your question, please.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, Leroy.
Great to see you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Leroy.
Yeah, on applied faith, you said you're curious about applying our experience with applying faith. I think if you had asked that. So I like to think of, when the Bible describes Jesus as lifting his eyes to heaven, it doesn't mean he looked up in the sky. He looked above the circumstance in front of him and saw what he wanted to see, not what was saw in the spirit of, like, what he like when he raised Lazarus from the dead. So he saw him as alive, and so he brought him to life. So just a little experience. Because I drive truck I'm driving a lot, so I get a chance to talk with my wife a lot on the phone. So last night we were talking, and so I told her that, and she's like, "Well, how does that work with a person who, is in an abusive situation?" And I said, "Well, you know, that may not work for them at the moment because they don't know this, so they need something else." And I kept at first she just couldn't agree with me. She just thought I was way off the deep end, that just this doesn't work. But I was patient with her, and then she dared to ask me, and I didn't even know where this was going to go, and then she dared to ask me some questions she thought were it's gonna, wondering if I'm tough enough to handle this. And it just, because she asked me, well, what would you do for this certain person that we had been, their situation. They said, well, if that person would reach out to me, I would, ask questions of what do you want, or how is this working out for you, stuff like that. And she was like, wow, that's amazing, because that's more than she expected. And I said, well, I am a coach. I was coached to be a coach. And so that's how and it, to me, that was like, stepping out in faith. Not, I believed what I believed, and then it turned out to be something that, it she could see better eye to eye with where I was coming from. So thanks for letting me share.
Well, thanks for that example, Leroy. It does, we can think of experiences, or we know people that are in conditions that we would like to reach out and give some guidance to. But there are some things that everybody has their own journey, and in some cases they have to make their own decisions and not follow the advice of somebody else. And as much as you want to give advice, it has to be a situation where that person asks you. You can't get in. It's the mistake made by a lot of evangelical Christians is they don't wait for somebody to ask them. They want to go out and push it's more like a salesperson. They want to go out and push the religion. You can see possible options that she has. And if she asks you, I know that you'd be a wellspring of good advice, but it has to be her decision to reach out. This is that we see it all the time. People that can't make decisions and they're stuck in a situation that they can't change because they're not making decisions, and it's the decision that makes the difference.
Yeah. Dan, thank you so much for that. And to the group, thank you for being engaged and asking fantastic questions that make us all think, make you go think and go, what can I do moving forward? And the primary purpose for us in this mastermind, yes, we want to engage and we want to speak and ask questions and hold each other accountable. But the primary purpose for us is to implement what we discuss and what we learn. So I challenge each of you, when you finish this call, later on today, you will receive an email with a link to the recorded replay of this call. Watch it again. Watch it again and listen with different ears and watch with different eyes and see what comes out to you. What's one thing that you could take away and put into action today? And I'd like to wrap up the session today with another reading from the book, Science of Personal Achievement. Faith without deeds is dead. Action. There must be eternal action behind the things that you go after if you're going to make use of applied faith. If you believe, you can succeed. And when I say those words, I'm talking about believing in yourself, your internal power, having faith in your own abilities to accomplish whatever it is that you want to accomplish. There are no limits except for those that are in your own mind. And as Napoleon shared with us, we only have complete control over one thing, and that is our minds. So Dan, thank you so much, my friend. I wish we had 2 more hours. It was an honor to have you here. I've never seen a group so engaged in just listening to the questions and to the answers. And I, for one, cannot wait to watch the replay. Next week, guys, we're going to be talking about pleasing personality. So read the chapter, put together some questions. And I really, really want to encourage you to take these conversations offline. We had over 14 people in the room today. I share all the emails in the emails that I send out so you can engage with each other. So engage. Take this conversation beyond the hour that we have on Tuesdays. And I look forward to seeing all you guys next Tuesday. Dan, you got any final words for us?
I'm so proud to be here. It's just this is a really sacred. I mean, I'm serious. This is a sacred group. This is a special place, and you should get your friends to come because anybody is going to benefit. Anybody that comes in will benefit, regardless who's the speaker. It's the group that makes it. And if you know people who would benefit from it, and I'm sure you can think of a handful, invite them and get them coming this way because this is a movement getting started, and you're on the ground floor.
Thank you, Dan.
And
And
Thanks, friend.
I also want to thank the individuals in the group that invited Victor. Victor, thank you for joining us today, and also Alex, who looks like he's driving, just kind of like Leroy always does when he's on the road. So thank you for joining us today. I appreciate you, and I will be in touch and send you the replay later on today. Bless you
Thank you.
all. Thank
Thanks,
you for your
everybody.
time.
I love you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Thank
everybody.
you.
God bless. Thanks, everyone. Wow.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Frank.
I appreciate you, my friend.
Thanks.
And I will see you. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you later.
See you Monday.
All right, my friend.